Your thoughts
Sure.
to Ja Morant's season this year, coming back from all the accolades, and then during the season, I mean, at the end of the season, the shooting up in the air with his hand gestures. What are your thoughts to Ja Morant season 1, and what are your thoughts to Ja Morant doing the things that he did offset as well?
Well, I think when you start with the season, you have to go back to that he tore his labrum last year, and so I felt like he came back early. Now, obviously, medical personnel will tell you whether he's good to go or not, and he'll tell you whether he's good to go. But if you ask a pro athlete that wants to be a star, they're going to want to play any chance they get. So his shot just didn't look the same, and the shoulder soreness. And then it really kind of unraveled. You got frustrated fans. You got a lot of people chattering in social media, and I thought some of it appeared to get to him. And so there was some frustration, a new offense, a change in the assistant coaches. And one of the guys that left was his workout guy. And I equated it like this, guys, and I've said this, I'm not afraid to say it, and it's nothing against the guy that took the departed coach's place, but when I watched him work out with the guy that left, whose name was Blake Ahern, or is Blake Ahern, he looked like he was having fun. When I watched him with the new guy, it looked like he was just doing it because he had to. I equated it to a kid getting an ice cream cone to a kid getting a stick of broccoli. It just didn't look the same. And so you switch the offense. Now you're all 5 out. It's more ball movement and less one guy dominating the possession. You drafted a 7'3", 300-pound center to set screens for a guy, and now you're literally not setting any screens. So I think there was some frustration. I think the coaching staff was put in a really difficult place by deciding to change the assistant coaches, even though the head coach didn't seemingly want to do that, but he went along with it. And then everybody questioned whether or not the coach was a sitting duck, which he turned out to be when they fired him with 9 games left. And, that's a front office's decision to make. But when your star player isn't down with it, you got a problem. Now, with the other antics that you're talking about, my belief is this. Look, it's never a right to be a professional athlete. It's a privilege. You've earned that privilege with God-given talent. But the league can still tell you, hey, these are our rules. Whether you like them or not, you can choose to break them. That's fine, but there are penalties. And so I'm not saying that Josh shouldn't do the things he wants to do, but if you do something they tell you to stop doing, then be prepared for the consequences. And I don't think, obviously, that this is, a situation where other guys don't make the same gestures, because they do. But other guys weren't suspended twice for brandishing a firearm on social media. And so there's got to be some sort of awareness with that. Now, the way I saw it, just from my eyes, was the first time he did it and the Warriors complained about it. My guess is, and I'm not privy, I'm just totally guessing, that they probably got a phone call that said, hey, stop pointing your fingers at your opponents. So the next game, he pointed them at Scottie Pippen Jr. every play. And that's his teammate. So he's like, all right, I did exactly what you said. I didn't point them at my opponent. I pointed them at my teammate. And then reportedly there was a warning saying if you do it again, then there's going to be consequences. So after that, he got fined, and then he went to I'm throwing word bombs and doing the grenade thing, which everybody kind of chuckled at. And you see his influence, because you got kids now doing that in AAU ball. They just had a big Nike EYBL tournament here. I can't tell you how many text messages I got from people at the event going, this kid just did the jaw word bomb. And I'm like, okay, great. You know what? It's summertime. We got swept. I'm doing something else. I don't care. But I think the guy showed at times, again, he's one of the most talented players in the league. I think he has an opportunity to earn that back. He said all the right things at the end of the year about the new coach, Tuomas Isalo. He seems to really get along with them. They're going to bring Zach Edey out to Summer League. They made that announcement to get him to understand the offense. And if Zach understands the offense, that gives him someone in that role that Steven Adams played for years, which allowed Ja to really get downhill and break down defenses. And that just wasn't happening last year. Now, they played fast. They scored a ton of points, and it was a different system. But the one thing I think you guys would understand and know about is when you throw something different at a league, it takes them a minute to catch up. But about game 40, when teams had seen the tape and seen what the offense was doing, and the Warriors were the first team to kind of write the game plan, we saw nothing but shell zone defense and nobody protecting the middle because the Grizzlies weren't going to attack the middle. They never did, and they weren't going to be in the paint. They were going to be on the perimeter. They might get Jaren Jackson to score up a big that he could overpower, but other than that, it was pass, chuck it up from beyond the line, or get all the way to the rim on a breakaway. So teams figured it out, and when they figured it out, the offense kind of stagnated. And then they got to the second half of their schedule, which was loaded with playoff teams, and they did not produce victories. And so despite the fact they won 48 games, made the playoffs, at one point this was the number 2 team in the West. And I vividly remember a night where they were playing Oklahoma City, and we're like, okay, here's your test. This is clearly the best team in the West. You're right now in the 2 spot. Where do you stand? And a 23-point loss later, you went, uh-oh, maybe this is some of this fattening up on the bad teams that you saw early in the schedule and teams that aren't going to be in the playoff picture. And then they go play a really, really good game but make a mistake and still find a way to win. And you went, all right, you beat the Timberwolves twice, and you could have beaten the Rockets 2 out of the 3 losses that you had. And you threw a game away here, but you're blowing out these other teams. But after the All-Star break, I think the team that kind of got them is now the team that's making the most noise in the NBA, and it's Indiana. They put a 50-point third quarter on them, and we all kind of looked at each other and went, well, that escalated in a hurry, fellas. And the second half after that was kind of just it was a rough go, to say the least.
Eric, why are you trying to hurt our feelings? You had to bring up the Pacers. You had to bring up we were good. Me and you were good. And then you had to bring up the Indiana Pacers and piss me off.
Yeah, well, you can blame us for giving them confidence, I guess. Look, don't foul up 3 with 14 seconds. Let them take the shot.
Dude, that was the luckiest roll I've ever seen a player have in a playoff game. I mean, that went up. That hit off the back of the rim and went 15 feet in the air and went right in. It spun right into the rim. I mean, what are the chances that happening?
Very little. But this is the third time they've seemed to do something like this. But I just thought Thibodeau made a mistake fouling that early. So, and again, and because you're basically putting all the pressure on your free throw shooter. 6 seconds, I'm all for it. 14, I went little early. Just let the guy take an off balance 3 and get the possession, give it to Brunson. But I'm not an NBA coach, so look, our season ended in a 4-0 sweep. So who am I to say anything to me? What the hell do I know?
Well, you've been the Grizzlies play-by-play guy for a long time, so you know something, obviously, or they wouldn't be keeping you in that position.
I know I'm old. And I've seen a lot of crappy basketball over the years.
Well, hold on, Eric. How old are you?
907. No, 52.
You're 52, so you're only, you're 9 years older than me. You're not that old, Eric. Stop making yourself older than you should be, because then you're making me as ancient as you. Okay, please.
Hey, I'm still dating 35 and under. I'm good.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Eric. He's a sugar daddy.
Hey, I'll be whatever they want me to be, as long as they come home. We're good.